and Arjun. Amongst these three, it is only Arjun whose disturbance is going to be the cause of his wisdom, to gain wisdom. Who are the other two characters? Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. They are also disturbed. Arjun, as you complete the chapter, you will see is most disturbed. So, chapter heading is Arjuna Vishad Yoga. Whereas the other two are also showing disturbance. As I said before, Vishad is definitely translated as grief, but it is a comprehensive term to represent anything which is disturbance, a mind which is disturbed, taken up. The cause of that shaken up, feeling imbalanced from inside, the cause can be anger, frustration, anxiety, fear, jealousy. The causes can be many. All of them are represented in the word Vishad. So samsara word, I like to take a lot of time to build up the word samsara till I feel confident that we have picked up the meaning correctly. Samsara means it's a comprehensive term, so comprehensive that we are picking it up at the point of disturbance. Like I said in a class before, if I have the symptoms, say a fever. A fever can indicate so many diseases. I will only seek a doctor when do I seek a doctor? When I find my body temperature abnormal from what normally is average to human beings. Very important this point is. What is a normal average temperature of a human being is normal, healthy. But when that temperature varies up or down, I have to seek a doctor. I have to seek a specialist who will then also not know just based on the symptom of fever, what is the cause. He will have to investigate further to find out and pinpoint what is the cause. Shastra says, now I mean Shastra means Vedic Shastra, Vedic view, that every human being has the capacity, has a normal mind, born with a normal mind, as in that normal means it is a mind which is predominantly an instrument to gain information, knowledge of the world. It is associated with the senses. Those of you who have done Tattva would know it is Sattva Gun Pradhan. It has clarity in it. It's translucent. It's a very subtle matter. And that subtle matter is extremely useful, is a tool, very advantageous. And based on that is where human beings are progressing, so-called, quote-unquote, from the scientist's perspective, not from our perspective. But from them, if we are progressing so much in the world, we have so much development having taken place, it's because of this mind. Human being's mind is extremely precious. It's beautiful. It has power, it has potential, it has strength, it has by nature it's a gifted instrument which can gather data and help in organizing the data which the senses are collecting, and thereby that organized data can improve the quality of life and can reduce the struggles in life. That's the importance of mind, antakaranam. But this mind, from within also, from a person within himself, herself, also sees the eruption of thoughts. Thoughts are recognized, various nature of thoughts, kinds of thoughts coming from the sensory perception, thoughts. So if I see a snake on the road, I get a thought of a snake and I want to avoid the snake because I see harm there. Now all this is stored in the antakaranam, in what, generalizing it to say mind. I recognize the snake. I immediately recognize that it can be poisonous. I immediately also get the thought that I have to bypass it, I have to save myself, it can attack. I have to make a lot of judgments around a perception called snake. But when I see the snake, it is just a knowledge of the snake. The fear of the snake is not inherent from the snake perception. The fear that emerged with the perception of the snake seems to have been stored in a memory. I have it in me. There are some perceptions that I have stored as causing fear, etc. So here, the minute I see the snake, the fear from within couples itself, जुड़ जाता है, with the knowledge of the snake. So as an individual, what am I experiencing? I'm experiencing the knowledge of the snake and I'm experiencing fear. This is just an example, but along with it, obviously, there will be physical symptoms, palpitations, there will be sweating, probably there will be the desire to, that survival flight response may come up, and some of us the fight response may come, etc., etc. That fear is an emotional thought, emotion-based thought. And it also has a force, it also has a power, it also has strength. The thought of snake will come and go with the object going. That's not going to stay with me. It will stay as a stored memory, but it doesn't create an emotion. Once the thought has gone, once the snake has gone, that's the end of the perception. But the response it generated in me, that response is my own validated experience as real. I call it a real fear. It's real. I'm experiencing reality of that emotion. That disturbance, the source from within, Shastra points to say that these are, most of them, are collected over a period of time, maybe because of survival, maybe for whatever reason, but in a human form. When you find yourself embodied with a human sharira, human body, here most of these emotional responses can be sorted because your antakaranam is now very well defined and very well developed with the Shakti called Buddhi. It can discern very well. So you can sort out, I would say clean up. when you keep collecting in a room, there are some ancestral homes we have, 3 generations, 4 generations. There's one room where there is stuff only put in. Whatever has been used has gone into that room. There's a stuff collected there. Now that stuff, most of it may not be relevant in the present life, to the present generation. In fact, it's just got an emotional value, so that's fine. That's besides the point. This is just an example. But there is a lot of stuff, and it's not necessarily kept organized. When will you choose to organize it? What will you do with that stuff? There will have to be a decision at some point. In a similar manner, human being has lot of stored response, which we most often do not discern. The responses are generated as we keep growing older, they even keep getting stronger and stronger. So there is very little window to actually discern unless and until. And that's important also. Unless and until a person has chosen to lead a life which is more spiritually oriented, to grow oneself, to free oneself, relatively first, absolutely later. So here, the disturbance that is there seen in Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, this disturbance is common denominator to all human beings. They are representative of all human beings. Everyone has these degrees. Arjuna, on the other hand, is going to show a far deeper sense of disturbance. It's not his grief alone or his disturbance alone which is called samsara. A very important point in chapter 1 comes is, all of us, a disturbance, any point of time, any point of day, any disturbance, when it is there, that is not a natural state of your mind. Therefore, it is not to be accepted. It's not acceptable to us. Forget not to be accepted. Anybody who's disturbed doesn't turn up and say, ha ha ha, I am so disturbed today. Let's celebrate. I am disturbed person. Can you be cheerful when you are disturbed? Are they actually going together? Disturbance means having lost my sukh. मेरी सुख और शांति का त्याग हो गया. My sukh and shanti has got demolished for now at least. And the cause of that destruction of my sukh and shanti has to be outside to start off with. There are causes outside, conditions outside, because of which my shanti has got disturbed. Gita starts, Bhagavad Gita, voice of Krishna, is attempting that by the end of 18th chapter, first chapter is showing that when those kind of emotions disturb the mind, which are actually unhealthy. Disturbance means unhealthy. Healthy would mean a healthy body is normal temperature. A healthy mind is a cheerful mind, a sukhi, absolute, joyful. Doesn't mean you have to be laughing all the time and pretending to be joyful. It's just inwardly a shant, satisfied, joyful, undemanding mind, non-demanding mind. Supposed to be natural. supposed to be natural. Means every human being throughout his life, ideally speaking, should always have a happy expression of mind, because you are happiness incarnate. Atma is only Sukh Swabhav, Anand Swabhav. So what would your mind project? The Anand from within is what is expressing outside. But we take the statistics. If you take the statistics outside, what are the statistics? Children show so much happiness, bubbling, always joyful. What do they have? They have no sense of security. They have no sense of fear. They have no sense of, as really small children, small things, and look at the gigglingness that comes out. No reason at all, they can start laughing. The joy can express. Of course, they cry also, but they cry only when the survival needs it. But what happens as you grow older and older, statistically speaking, how much percentage of human being can claim by 20s, by 30s, by 40s, by 50s? What is the ratio of claiming the happiness of oneself? What would that ratio be? We all know the answer. So why does Gita become so important in everyone's life? Because when these emotions surface and they disturb the mind, everything that is held inside, even as wisdom, your own wisdom, you don't need Shastra, you have enough wisdom, even that gets shaken up. हिल जाता है अंदर से, as we say in Hindi. हिल गए हम, पूरी तरह से हिल गया. That memory of the knowledge that one has also disappears temporarily. So, which disturbance is going to be the pedestal, the fulcrum, that is going to push one into inquiry, that is going to push one into seeking the knowledge which is going to become the source of regaining one's Shanti? Is this connection clear to everyone? Yeah or no? Okay. So, what Gita is saying is, that's why I'm pausing here. You have to see the first verse correctly. Dhritarashtra's state of mind. That's the only place, because we are not going behind into Mahabharata. Throughout you will see Dhritarashtra representing the disturbed mind. You have to pick that up. But here in the Gita, it's just the first verse. So we analyzed in the first verse. What does he say in the first verse? He's asking Sanjaya at the end of the at the 10th day, when actually Bhishma fell, he's asking, and in the terms that he asked is what we have seen so far. The Gita is getting shared. That disturbance came from, start seeing the points of disturbance, because this is how Karam Yoga will neutralize it tomorrow, when you know that portion. What has Dhritarashtra shown? He has shown an extreme sense of holding on to what he felt was rightfully his, in his judgment, according to him. His reality says, the kingdom belongs to me. And reasoning, no, what is available to everybody has turned itself ability to see right as wrong, right as right and wrong as wrong, has taken a complete 180 degrees, and now he sees right as wrong and wrong as right. Very subtle. Initially, when we have these emotions that start surfacing, our buddhi will also tell us we are wrong. But if we hold on to like Dhritarashtra, then very soon our buddhi, actual buddhi means seeing right as right and wrong as wrong, the correct capacity to discern things as they are, which means your emotions are kept in place. That faculty which sees things clearly is sharp, is not rusted, is not hidden, is not in the power of the emotions. Can see clearly. 1 minute, Akanksha, I'll finish. It can see clearly. The minute buddhi sees clearly, right as right, wrong as wrong, till that capacity human being has, I can correct myself. If I have these emotions that I have been wronged by someone, and these are everyday emotions, I don't want to take examples, but these are everyday emotions for every human being almost. Sometimes you feel wronged by a sibling, sometimes you feel wronged by a parent, sometimes you feel wronged by a partner, sometimes you feel wronged by the boss. These are everyday circumstances that keep happening in life, where you feel by your judgment, self-judgment, you feel that you were wronged. Then initially you will have a counter perspective. The other person's point of view, generally speaking, vyavharik drishti, there are a lot of balancing point of views that will balance away your thinking. There will be a scope there. But supposing the person goes on strengthening this thought, I am wronged, I am wronged, I am wronged, I am wronged, and starts to build the strength of that force of thought. The minute it holds on, the longer it holds on, tangentially what should happen, or ordinarily, okay, what will happen? Soon enough, the other buddhi that was equally available starts to weaken. सुन ही नहीं रहा है इंसान खुद अपनी नहीं सुन रहा है. So what will happen very soon, this voice of knowledge within yourself, discriminative knowledge, reasoning knowledge, let me call it the reasoning power, will slowly diminish itself. And having diminished at some point of time, it's not going to be 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, 7 days. It's going to be months. You won't recognize by then, because that firmness of that thought, it's become concrete reality in your mind. At that point, the right becomes wrong and wrong becomes right. Buddhi ulti ho gayi. It's become inverted. It's actually not buddhi at all. Buddhi is gone. But the mind itself expresses as if a reason, shows reasons. We call them justifications, where it will say that right is wrong, wrong is right. And that was Dhritarashtra. His second symptom was, so the first one I said is holds on, that grudging nature, holds on to grudge. I'll pause here again. What is a normal resolution of a grudge? Grudging, is that wrong? No, correct. It's not wrong. It's okay. Everybody can have grudges. Everybody is bound to have grudges. Why? Everyone can have. Everyone will have grudges. There are, if you're interacting in the world, grudges किसी ना किसी को किसी ना किसी के साथ होनी होनी है. That's acceptable. But what is the way around it? What should be it? How does knowledge help us? Right from the first verse, knowledge helps us. In our day-to-day life. How? The very first verse tells me, if I have any such grudge in me, either I listen to my own reason, or I have to make sure that I will not strengthen it enough that my reasoning capacity becomes hostage to my own wrong feeling. My reasoning capacity should not become a hostage to my own feelings of being wronged. So, whoever has this, wherever in the world, the normal way should be what to resolve a grudge. What should be the normal process? What should Dhritarashtra have done? Very early. If he had done it early, would Vyasa have the opportunity to write this Mahabharata portion? And would there have been a Mahabharata? And would we have had the opportunity of ever knowing this portion? When I remember in school, when we used to read history, and then there are these wars, you keep reading. So I always used to think, अगर ये हुआ ही नहीं होता, तो वो chapter ही नहीं होता. So you wouldn't be studying it. In the same way, if Dhritarashtra, who felt wronged, had resolved his emotion because he has the capacity to resolve as a human being. If he had resolved it then and there, even if he couldn't himself, he had wise counsel around him. There was Bhishma, there was Drona, there was Kripacharya, there were enough wise people. Forget that. Even when he got married and his wife chose to go through that blindfold process herself, even then he should have said, why am I putting another person through this? Etc. At any point, if he had neutralized his wronged feeling, would Mahabharat war have occurred? There are many reasons. We are only taking it in the context of this portion. Because people come up with the argument, ये तो होना ही था. And that is how they relate in their life. अगर कुछ होता है, हमारे जीवन में ये तो होना ही था तो हुआ. लेकिन होना ही था तो that's a last point. अब प्रारब्ध बना है. होना ही था करके नहीं है. Everything has a very huge flexible margin. Situations have huge flexible margin. If we are able to employ reason within that, जो होना अगर है तो many things are avoidable. Not everything is destiny. 99.9% is not destiny. Now, if he had resolved, so my first point here, I'm still on it. The first point, that feelings that we get which are indicative of samsara have to be recognized very early, as early as possible. Then Shastra said, if you have missed it, what is the second symptoms he shows from it? From that wronged feeling. Now his second symptom is my and yours. Separation. His 100 children are mine. Kuru clan is mine. Pandu and his clan is not, they are my brother, but there is a sense of separation. And this sense of separation has steeped into family life today very deeply. Mine and yours. So Dhritarashtra, you can't call it a buddhi, is shown to be a blind person. That blindness is represented by the blindness of his reasoning, and thereafterwards अगर बुद्धि ही नहीं काम कर रही है तो जो भी सोच है वो विपरीत ही होगी. So he thinks whatever thinking comes after that is very detrimental to his own life first, his own mental health first, and obviously to everyone related to him around. And not only here within yourself, adhyatmic, adibhautik, your relatives, your relations, your society around you, those who are related to you, completely entangled in this kind of a vyavharajanya, viparita buddhi janya vyavhara, get embroiled in it. And this samsara, how detrimental is it to him? Till almost the end, he doesn't see the right thing as right. He has to accept it. Therefore, the two things he said is Dharam Kshetra, Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra, there's another, actually that place was, it seems called Samanta Panchakam or something. Samanta Panch. Samanta Panchakam. Actual place name. But because his ancestor had done a lot of tapasya here, Kurukshetra. And because the boon was there, etc., I've covered that point, Dharmakshetra, where whoever does good penance or whoever does good karmas gets gati. That's the Tirath Sthan means that. Kshetra has, in the 13th chapter of the Gita, there's going to be a beautiful definition by Bhashyakara. He's going to the general actual definition words, I don't have it here now, but he calls Sharir, body, as Kshetra. 13th chapter is going to be distinction between Kshetra and Kshetrajna, knower of the body. Kshetra has also been the body. This body, the embodied in it, Dhritarashtra is showing the blinded being, blinded by his ahankar, blinded by his own self-capsuled vision of his own being. So far I'm okay. So far everyone's and me are going together everywhere. This was the first set of disturbance. So what is the gist of all this? More than half an hour. What is the gist of it? Dhritarashtra's disturbance is detrimental. Thank you. Samanta Panchakam, that's right. Samanta Panchakam, Dharmasthan. That is the Kurukshetra, that's right. Samanta Panchakam. Here also, he calls it the Kurukshetra. Actual name is Samanta Panchakam. But he's already owned it. Kuruon ka kshetra hai ye. Hamara kshetra hai ye. So, what is the gist of all this? Dhritarashtra's disturbance is detrimental in all manner to oneself, to people and relatives around, friends, relatives, relations, to society in general, and has far-reaching consequences that at that time may not be recognized. But if the person continues to hold it, it will only cause destruction. टूट जाएगा, बिखर जाएगा, because the solution was in dissolving it then and there, acceptance. And this is again, a lot of it will come into the third chapter, fourth chapter. I'll take the opposite scenario just for completing the perception. If Dhritarashtra had accepted, okay, the land rule, it's like constitution. If we are accepting the constitution, we follow the constitution. Supposed to. In the same way, the constitution then said, a blind person cannot be the king. That was the constitutional rule. पूर्वजों ने बनाया था, they were following it. If we had accepted it, my question is, beginning stage, if Dhritarashtra had accepted it, then and there, okay, fine. For some reason, I am blind. For whatever reason, today's law says, I cannot be the king. What would be the next thought? What would be the outcome of this acceptance? Anybody? What would be the outcome of this acceptance?
He would be at peace with himself. Like, someone else would become the king. He would be okay with it because he's following the law. So
Very good.
Probably at peace alone.
He'll be a peaceful, correct? Then
And instead of fighting with his fate, and he would have spent time in improving conditions for the public. He could have done so much good, given that he was from the royal family.
Correct. Very good. What more?
The feeling of victimization would have gone.
Excellent.
Yeah, that he held with himself.
Excellent. Very good.
He could have focused on making his sons able.
Excellent. Very good. Continue. Now you see what has happened. Correct? Potential, yes. For Atmagyan, finally, yes. Look at just the two scenarios. Holding on to that thought that I am wronged has brought about Mahabharata. If he had dissolved it, whatever you have said, all of you, is all only positive. Isn't it? He could have helped, he would be peaceful, he would have had good relations with that my children and his children wouldn't have been there. Everything that would have been built, correct? Duryodhana and other brothers wouldn't have been the way they were. It's a very fascinating reflection. The whole environment would have been brimming with happiness. What we desire, what we want. So in whose hand does happiness really lie?
In our own.
In our own, in what manner?
In using the discriminatory capacity of our buddhi correctly.
Correct. So every thought that comes to us is not right. Everything that we conclude about ourselves may not be correct. That is why dharma kshetra. You have to keep dharma as important, primary. According to dharma, what is right or wrong? Dharma by myself I may not know, so I need to know the Shastra sometimes. Sometimes elders give us the right wisdom if I don't have the capacity to know or study. But I must have the capacity to at least understand what is right. Therefore, in this kshetra, Sharir mein, one identity we have established, Dhritarashtra, and his two outcomes. The second one that we have started seeing now is Duryodhana's mind and his disturbance, his agitation, his insecurity, his feeling completely justifying the war. He doesn't feel he is wronged at all. He feels he was wronged again. And throughout the story, you find that Duryodhana was not really as bad a character as has been projected in the world. He was a very good friend. He is actually an ideal friend. His friendship with
Karna.
Karna. He was a very good friend. He was ready to give up everything for the sake of his friendship. He was a very good brother to all his 99 siblings. He was extremely to his parents. To some extent, he was, you can call it, that is why I'm bringing this point up, because he was in that category of a normal human being from the point of we have negativity in us, we have negative thoughts in us, feelings in us, we also are positive. So Duryodhana is somewhere representing a jiva in his entirety. Dhritarashtra has already gone to the negative end of it. Duryodhana is the one who has got both in him. He has got a force of, correct, collective hurt, right. He's got this force of, what was I saying? Sorry.
Duryodhana has both qualities, positive and
He has, so he's kind of, a lot of us in the world we meet, and sometimes even us, we are in that kind of a close quartered category of a Duryodhana, because to our own friends and family we're very good people. But the minute you see someone from, I know of an example of a person very nice to their family, but even a relative of a cousin from husband's side, my God, the wall, impenetrable. Husband and cousin would be brothers, like Arjuna and Duryodhana. Wall, impenetrable. The negative feeling would be so huge, and such manipulation starts to play. It's fascinating. Why? Because you understand this, you see it. These are human characteristics. We all must be also having it here and there. We also express, everyone expresses it. So who is Duryodhana? He seems to be very nice to the people he has chosen to be nice with. In fact, that's in today's world is considered to be a virtue, almost. Who I have chosen to be good with, I am choosing. My goodness doesn't extend to, why should I be good to another person? This has become the definition of our good today, normally speaking, averagely speaking. So Duryodhana, the minute the armies had come across each other, what was the pent up, now it's the last minute. everything could have been reversed before that, can still be reversed, but that reversal, Dhritarashtra had the power. And that's what Sanjay was telling him. But here onwards, that thing of, when you're about to enter something and you know that this is going to have far-reaching consequence, and that consequences are going to be huge, when you have that recognition, along with the fact that you do accept heart to heart that not everything you did was actually also justifiable. गलत तुमने भी कुछ तो किया ही है, ऐसी बात नहीं है. All these things, when they have come surface together, now Duryodhana's disturbed mind is very volatile. It's very restless. It's very agitated. It's extremely expressing that desire to see the outcome of the war in his favor, and heart to heart acknowledging that it's going to be a very, very tough fight. Both the parties have acknowledged it's going to be a tough battle. But the acknowledgement of toughness on the part of Pandavas and on the part of the Kauravas and Duryodhana in particular, their extreme emotions, different completely. Duryodhana feels the war is going to be tough to win because he's holding on to his own emotion. Yes, that he was wronged, but now it's gone beyond the point of right and wrong. The war, it's become an ego asserting action. And as we are going to see in the few verses ahead now, he has seen the Pandavas as his competitors from the very beginning because of that wrong, collective wrong, etc. He said, goes to Drona as the one who was supposedly, he was actually not a king. Sanjay has only addressed him as the king. He goes to Drona, and that insecurity, uncertainty, I have till today not been able to place the right word for that feeling there that we have when we want the outcome to be according to what we desire, and yet we know from inside the anxiousness is very different, because the outcome can be either way and the consequences will be far reaching. It's like saying if somebody, whoever has the nuclear war button in their hand, we can't even imagine the stress the person could be going through, the one who has it, because the consequences will be far reaching. And the consequences, what are they called as far reaching? When the consequences are irreversible. That is called consequence. रिश्तों में बिगड़ना जब रिश्ते शुरू होते हैं, तो there are margins of repair. There are margins to rebound. But जब बिगड़ जाते हैं, then after some time, once this Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra psyche starts to operate, that buddhi starts to operate, and that starts to assert itself, then the consequences that come, averagely speaking, there are a lot of margins and vague things, but it's not like a rule that they're irreversible. But yes, now that is why that Hindi की कहावत है ना, एक बार टूटे तो गांठ पड़ी जाए, something like that. There's a दोहा. रिश्ता एक बार अगर जोड़ भी लोगे तो गांठ तो रहेगी. That is in normal.
रहीमन धागा प्रेम का मत तोड़ो चटकाए, टूटे से फिर ना जुड़े जुड़े गांठ पड़ जाए.
Correct. So now, this is normal everyday. इसमें फिर भी but this is a huge consequence. Almost the entire North India had got collected. Kings, huge, kings of different states and their armies, and there was So much going to be at stake that Kurukshetra was going to become a Shamshan Bhumi. It was going to be. It was going to be only at the end. There is this terrible scene in Mahabharata where women are crying, Vilap ho raha hai. That's only sound that Arjuna and these Pandavas hear, and again they go through Vishad as a afterthought. They have won the war, they have won the kingdom. The dharma is going to get established in the land. Once again, people are going to get happy because the right laws are going to be operating. There'll be no corruption, there'll be no preferentials, all these things that happen in the society, they start from the top. Because the leader is not following his dharma. So if the leader follows his dharma, then the society is peaceful, prevalent. Everybody has their struggles, but there is harmony in it. Now, once this Duryodhana starts feeling this anxiety and this, he knows the consequences are far-reaching and he knows they're irreversible. What do wise people do? Have you ever known of a situation where two people are fighting all the time and things are going to go into a lot of extreme situation? What are the wise people advising?
They bring a wise person to come and mediate and try to sort it out.
To not let it go to the extreme point. In fact, in the beginning, if there was counseling done, or the only thing that people seek, guru is a term, is why does someone give any advice, counsel, if it is from an adhyatmic standpoint, is because they say, okay, this dharma buddhi can be applied in this situation. People had kul gurus, people had everybody, some wise person to tell you what is the dharma when your own mind has taken over and you don't know what is right and wrong. Like Krishna, but it is dharma based. It's not individual who is saying. It is dharma. What would tell you is what the individual would say, okay, ye karo. Now, Duryodhana's restlessness and anxiety is now coming forth in these verses. He started telling Drona, Atra Shura Maheshwasaha. Atra, here, in front of you. Shuraha, these very brave people. Shurveer, brave people. And also Maheshwasaha. These are the people who are wielding, they have huge bows and arrows. They're mighty archers. Means they're mighty archers is having huge bows and arrows. Bhima Arjun Sama. And this is where he started revealing his anxiousness. He's calling all the people, warriors gathered on the Pandava side as their equivalent to Bhim and Arjun. What does this mean? In his own mind, he's only seeing Pandavas. Amongst Pandavas also, he definitely sees only Bhim really. But Bhim and Arjun, representing these great warriors, to his mind are the ultimate warriors. देखो देखो सामने जितने भी खड़े हैं ना, ये सब भीम और अर्जुन के समान युद्धि, महेश्वासाहा युद्धि. In battle they are great warriors, they are great people, equal to Bhima and Arjuna. Yuyudhanaha Virataha Cha. Yuyudhan is another name for Satyaki, another king, and since we do not know much of these unless you've been reading Mahabharata and kept up with the stories, these are those warrior kings that had collected to fight on behalf of Pandavas. Yuyudhanaha Virataha Cha Drupadaha Cha. Maharathaha, the great warrior, Maharathi. Drupad, who is Drupad? Again, he's pointing it to remind Drona of his rivalry with Drupad, and he wants to instigate him. He wants to pep him up. He wants that hurt to rise in Drona. He wants that frustration or that anger, pent up feeling to rise in Drona, because if that becomes the base of thought behind his action, Dronacharya was a teacher of all these people. His capacity to fight would be incomparable. He would be undefeatable. Nobody would have defeated him. But if in Drona, that little soft corner for Pandavas would have come, we would say, it's like saying all that adrenaline wouldn't have come up to fight the war. So he is like bringing up all that adrenaline in rushing it up in Drona, exciting him also by using these terms as strong and powerful to revoke the memory in Drupad, to say, those people there, you have to fight on my behalf. He's going to say that in the next verse, following verses. Now he's just repeating the army on the Pandava side. And what is to be noted here is, by the end of the list, he would have named 17 great Maharathis from his point of view. 17 great kings, each one a Maharathi in himself, equal to Bhima and Arjuna. When you are feeling a little on the what would be the right word? As Duryodhana is feeling, there is a tendency to exaggerate the opposite side. When you feel a little inferior, when you feel a little on the lack of confidence, motivation, lack of justness, defensive. Yes, when you're feeling on the defensive. Though he was actually on the attacking mode, so not totally on the defensive, but you have that lack of confidence, lack of sanshay aa gaya hai. There's an exaggeration that is happening of what he's seeing. Mind projects an exaggerated sense. So he now says in the 5th verse, Drishtaketuhu Chekitanaha. Drishtaketu is perhaps Kaikeyi king, Raja, uska, one of the Kaikeyi kingdom ka Raja, and his son, Chekitanaha, names of different Rajas. So actually you should start counting. How many did he say in the previous verse? Atrashu. So Yuyudhanaha, Virataha, Drupadaha. So before that he is only naming them. Drishtaketu, Chekitanaha. Then Kashi Rajaha, present day Banaras, his Raja, who is who? Viryavan. Kashi Rajaha, Viryavan. He's like Dhanavan, Viryavan, who's got a lot of Virya strength. He's a capable person. And who is he? Purujit. His name is Purujit. So Purujit is Kashi Raja, Raja of Kashi, and he's very strong. Then who? Kunti Bhojaha cha. Kunti Bhoja's father of Kunti, Shaibhyaha, and Nara Pungavaha. These are Nara men. Pungavaha, best among the men possible. मतलब उस वक्त में जितने भी qualified warriors हैं, best people who were warriors, these are all the best people, he's saying. He's enumerating all of them. And then in the next verse again, he continues the list. Yudha Manyuhu Vikrantaha. Vikrantaha is mighty. Yudha Manyu, the mighty one. And Uttama Cha uttamauja. Uttamauja. Uttamaujaha cha viryavan. Uttamauja is also virya. He's with each of them, he's giving an adjective. If you see it, it's like saying, if I say Priyanka, Divya, okay, here who else is all of you, Dipali and Madhula, Bhavna, whoever, and with Nehal, with all of you, if I start adding a term, beautiful Priyanka, who are there in the wise, Akanksha, I don't have any adjective, intelligent Divya, and all of them should be around knowledge, of course, discerning, this scholar, Nehal scholar, or if I start using एक एक का नाम लेने से, if you start using an adjective with the name, here it's positive, but what is his emotions springing up? He's seeing each of them and qualifying each warrior as very strong. Ek. So, Uttamaujaha, Viryavan. Saubhadraha, son of Subhadra, Abhimanyu. Draupadeyaha cha. 5 sons of Draupadi. Sarva eva, all of them are who? They are all Maharathaha. They're all Maharathis. And who are Maharathis? This is in those days, in those days, there was this categorization of the soldier. Like now you have lieutenant and terrible and all this now, major and colonel and lieutenant colonel, and it goes like that. So that time, according to how many people you are skilled to fight, there were terms like Rathi. Rathi means a person who can fight 1,000-foot soldiers alone. He's capable of fighting 1,000-foot soldiers. Ardharathi means less than 1,000. Atirathi means more than 1,000, but less than 10,000. Alone can fight. Maharathi meant more than 10,000. A person can fight more than 10,000 soldiers alone. What has he said all these people are? Each one of them is capable of fighting
10,000.
more than 10,000 people by themselves. This is how his mind is exaggerating the scenario, because not everybody was a Maharathi here. He is calling them a Maharathi. Okay. So, 6th verse. Sarva eva Maharathaha. All of them are great warriors. Edifying. Okay. Then he says, up to this point, he's narrated all the warriors. Now he's telling Drona. Remember, he's still with Drona. Now he's saying, all this I have told you, shown you, watch carefully. This is the way that army is, as if Drona can't see it himself. But he says, Asmakam tu vishishtaha ye. Asmakam. Tu, indeed. But on our side, Asmakam, hamari taraf ke. Ye vishishtaha, all those who are special, who are Vishishtagan. Vishishtagan, special people, means who are more qualified. Distinguished leaders is the translation here, who are more to be picked up and pointed. Distinguished, okay. Ye tan nibodha. For your sake, tan. Nibodha. so that you know who are these Vishishta people on our side. O Dvijottama, that Dvijottama means the one who is twice born. We'll go into that afterwards. So he's telling Drona, he was a Brahmin and a Kshatriya, a wise person, so he's addressing him, O Dvijottama, so that you know who is on our side, who is special. Nayakaha, who are those who are going to be leaders, Nayakas, who are, Nayaka means they're born leaders almost, who will lead the army, the जो आगे बढ़ाएंगे, ले जाने वाले, सेनापति kind of a people, जो आगे ले जाते हैं, they are nayakas, not नायिका, nayakas, जो आगे ले जाएंगे. नायकाः mama सैन्यस्य in army, मेरी army में. Who are these distinguished people who are going to be the leaders to lead the army ahead? In my army, Sangyartham, I'm enumerating them. Sangya karunga means I'll number them. Tan, for your sake. Bravimite, I will now tell you. Mama word, what did Dhritarashtra use? Mama word, my people, my army. What is Duryodhana saying? All these people, asmakam. First he starts with asmakam, our. Asmakam means our. He's included Drona at least in the first line. In our army, who all our great people on our side. Then second line he says, Mama Sainyasya, in my army who all are they? And those who are doing analysis of the first chapter too detailed, they say this is showing the imbalance in his mind. Ghabra gaya. In one sentence, he's saying our army, his ghabra gaya hai, his balance of mind is shaken up. In the next 1 minute, his innermost desire, his innermost thought has revealed itself, and he's arrogated everything to his own self. My army. So what was that? Our army. That was just a pacifying Drona from the beginning that he had started. So he was trying to put up that, pacification, but by the second line, his whole inner thought process has come out. They are my army, and I will tell you who all they are. And who are they? Very interesting. This is so very interesting. It's actually enjoyable, thoroughly. And when the first lessons I was given in Vedanta was, what will you get? First, after I finished Vedanta study, the course, the first thing I was told was, when you go back in the world now, you are going to get entertained. You are going to remain entertained. And I was like, entertained? What is going to be entertaining? Yeah, to sab log rote rehte hain sara time. They're all the time complaining about things. They are all the time unhappy. And they will, and after a few classes, they come for small pinprick issues of life. And where is Vedanta and where is all this, where is the entertainment part? And when you actually start seeing all this playing in a person's life, it's not entertainment in a negative sense. It is entertaining that here there is a capacity to help yourself, and yet the self-indulgence will be so huge that you actually are helpless. Therefore, you have no choice but to remain objective. You cannot do anything about it. So he now starts to, and that's what I was saying is the entertaining part, he starts enumerating. And you know how he starts enumerating? Bhavan. He started by saying, I will tell you who all are Vishishtahas on our side of the army, then my side of the army, and he says, you first. Bhavan means you. Who's you? Drona. He's talking to Drona. Doesn't Drona know that he's fighting on his side? But in the list, look at the mind of Drona, of Duryodhana. In his mind, even Drona is separated. He has to as if hold them to fight on his behalf. Bhavan. Bhishmaha cha. You are there. Bhishma is there. Karna is there. Kripa is there. Kripacharya is there. And who's Kripacharya? Samitinjayaha. He's the one who is also very difficult to conquer. He had never been defeated. Samitinjaya means he was always victorious. Nobody had still, he'd never seen a defeat in a battle he had gone. He was always victorious. So, Kripaha cha Samitinjayaha. So, he's added the adjective to Kripacharya. Why does he add the adjective to Kripacharya? Okay, let me finish this. Then he says, Ashwathama. Vikarnaha cha. Saumadattihi. Son of Somadatta. And also, there is a Patha Bheda. Here it is Jayadrathaha and also Jayadrathaha. In some books it is just Tathaivacha. So Jayadratha name is not there. There is a Pathantaram. In the manuscript there must be some difference. But even if you include Jayadratha, it's okay. So he says here, Bhavan, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, Saumadatti, Jayadratha. Okay, let me say Jayadratha. 7 or 8. Out of these names, 3 names are actually Drona's own relatives or associated with it's Drona's family. Drona himself, Ashwathama is his son, Kripacharya is his wife's brother in his own family. So Bhavan, Bhishma, Karna comes third in the list, very important. Kripa, Ashwathama, they are all anyway related to Drona. And then others. And now in the next verse, 8 line mein these 8 have been enumerated, 7, 8. Now in the next line, next verse, next sentence he says is, these are verses for us. For him it's the next sentence. What is the next sentence? He says, Anyecha bahavaha shuraha. Bahavaha, many, many shuras. Anyecha, and there are many other shuras. That's it. The list is ended there. And the fact is, as I said before, Kauravas had a far larger army. In fact, because of seeing that large army only, we said before, Yudhishthira went into a little bit of a self-doubt. 11 Akshaunis. Akshauni also is a huge battalion. So many horses and elephants and all that makes one Akshauni. All of this, he says, Anyecha bahavaha shuraha. Now comes underlined Duryodhana. Madarthe. Mad arthe. मेरे लिए. ये सब जो है ना, ये सब मेरे लिए. क्या करने को कर रहे हैं? इकट्ठे हुए हैं. त्यक्त जीविताः. They are all ready to give up their life for my sake. They've all got assembled for me. They're all readily, willingly assembled to. Who talks about their army dying? Who was that who said? Wars are not won by dying for your country. Wars are won by making the other die for his country. You don't win wars by dying for your country. You win wars by making the other die for his country. Now here is a king, so-called, ready to take on the kingdom, and he is already saying that all these people have gathered for my sake and are ready to die for me. मेरे लिए मरने के लिए तैयार है. They are ready to give up. That means they are in that sacrificial mode. They have all come because they see me as the qualified person to lead them. They have assembled for me. Whereas most of them had not assembled for him. Even Bhishma and Drona, if a choice was given, they had not assembled for Duryodhana. Their reasons were different. And most of the people who had assembled to fight, Karna's Sarthi that we were talking about, Sartaki, Karna's Sarthi, he himself had to be brought by wrong means. He was going to fight for Pandavas. Midway they brought him because dharma prevails in all their minds. So he says, all these people are ready to give up their lives for me. And who are these people? Nana Shastra Praharnaha. They are equipped with all kinds of different shastras, different war equipments they have. Sarve, all of them. Yuddha Visharadaha. They are all experts in warfare. With Yuddha mein Visharadaha. They are experts. Ladne mein they are experts in warfare. On the battleground, they are all experts. So, how many verses? Slowly start building it up. He says, Pashaitam Pandu Putranam Acharya Mahatim Jamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. I'm purposely saying the words because I'm hoping that the previous classes have been registered and you can see the translation and understand the verse itself. He says, Pashaitam, see, tells Dronacharya, look for yourself, all these Pandus, Putra, sons of Pandu, who have formed this huge army, Chamum, Mahatim Chamum, huge army they have assembled. Vyudham, and their commander-in-chief is Drupadaputra, who has formed the Vyuha, the formation. Who is this Drupadaputra? Your wise student. He is the one who's standing against you, leading this huge army, and formed the first formation to attack or to defend, whatever that formation was. And he says, look, all these people here, Atra Shura Maheshwasaha, Bhima Arjun Samayudhi, all of them are equal to Bhima and Arjuna in warfare. Utni shamta hai ek ke andar. Ek ke andar means kis mein? Yuyudhanaha, Virataha, Drupadaha, Maharathaha, who himself is a great. Drupad ke liye he says he's a great Maharathi. Special mention. Drupada, and then he starts Drishtaketu, Chekitanaha, Kashi Rajaha, who's also Viryavan, Purujat, who's Purujat, Kunti Bhojaha, Shaibhyaha, Narapungavaha. These are all very great amongst men. They are not ordinary men, in other words. They are very skilled. Yudhamanyuhu, Vikrantaha, Uttamaujaha. They are all Viryavan. There is a Viryavan. Saubhadraha, 5 sons of Draupadi, Sarva eva Maharathaha. Oh, Drona, ye to sab Maharathi hain. That's the state of mind. Sab Maharathi hain. Asmakam to Vishishta hai. I'll tell you on my side, on our side first, who are these? Know them, O Dvijottama. No, you wise one also, Nayaka, who will lead our army. Mama Sanyasya, my army, who all are collected here. They are ready to fight for me. Yourself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwathama, Vikarna, Saumadatti, Jayadrathaha. There you have all assembled, plus many more Shuraha. They are ready to give up their lives. You all are ready, to give up your lives, wielding a lot of power and shastras. Means our army has a lot of artillery, different kinds of it. We are very well equipped with all kinds of, what are these called?
Shastra.
Shastra, with all kinds of shastras. Nana Shastra, various shastras. Praharnaha, we have equipped ourselves. Sarve Yuddha Visha, they are all greatly equipped to fight. Then he now starts equating the two armies. And I think we will end here. Equating the two armies. We'll continue this tomorrow. And that will continue till the next verse, 11th verse, where he'll give an order as if to Drona and to the rest of the armies, and then start slowly how each one starts responding to this, starting with Bhishma first, because he's beginning to sense that Duryodhana's morale is slipping away. His confusion, his anxiety has taken, not confusion, his anxiety is slowly taking away his peace and stability of his mind. And with a ruffled mind, you will obviously make wrong decisions and wrong actions will come out. Therefore, Bhishma sees Duryodhana's halat from far. Imagine, it was Drona's wrath, Bhishma's wrath. It was not saath baithe hain. It's not one chair here and one chair here. When they were, it was quite a distance, but Bhishma knew that Duryodhana has got unsettled. Therefore, to pump him up, he blows his conch. And this is where history got written in a way. It was Kauravas who started the war. Because though Bhishma's intention was not to blow the conch, start the war, they still wanted to avoid it. They were seeing that, they're just ready, armies are ready, but the minute Bhishma raises his conch, sends the message to Kaurava armies as if they have declared war. And then slowly, few verses will be that, and then starts the hero of our Gita and his vilap, his vishad, his state of mind, and why his samsara and his vishad will bring him Atmagyan, will bring him the Sangati of Krishna, keeps it with him, will give him finally the clarity of thought once again. Whereas Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra, that samsara of theirs is not resolved. They die with it. So they don't get uddhar. Only Arjuna's state of mind will get the hope of Jivan ka uddhar. Not everybody will have that. Hope is there, but how we conduct our life starts to express it, define it. So with this, I'll end the class. We won't do the chanting today. Maybe tomorrow we'll do some chanting. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah? We'll have to balance it because chanting will take some time. Let's focus more on the knowledge. And along with it, of course, we won't compromise that because that's a part of one's learning as well. So we'll cover it balanced as we can. So, Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhave. Any questions on today's topic anyone has?
Adipti ji, you started with what is samsara? And then you talked a lot. So can you just summarize it again?
Yeah.
Like, please.
So samsara is, remember the definitions are from the previous classes, avidya, kama, karma, etc. Born from there, keeps you in the cycle of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. That kama, desire, and how it brings about a disturbance. So samsara has two meanings. One is in immediate relative life, now. A disturbed mind is a samsara. And samsara has a longer definition because this samsara is a repetitive cycle. It's endless till you put an end to it through knowledge. You have to get to the root of it. So, samsara meaning disturbance in the context of the characters that have been presented in the Gita, first chapter. So that disturbance you are seeing is in Dhritarashtra, samsara. That disturbance we are seeing in Duryodhana, samsara. And by the end you will see Arjuna's disturbance. All of them are disturbed. But who will get the benefit? Which disturbance is helpful? How you deal with the disturbance? What should you do with this? How to handle that disturbance? There is a method in the madness. So the other two are not going to get any benefit out of their disturbance because they're clinging on to it. Whereas, as you will see Arjuna's words, I will not preempt them. When you see the verses, you will clearly see these three things, which is the first chapter. And only when we recognize why Arjuna becomes the receiver of the knowledge and not anyone else. That's how Gita comes into our life.
So disturbance is the cause for samsara, or is it
Disturbance is synonym.
okay? And the
Not
samsara is the cause for mithya, or
samsara is an effect, the cause is avidya.
and how is mithya in this? Or is that also a synonym of samsara?
No. Mithya is a part of the teaching to define the nature of samsara. Samsara is not real. It is felt real. Snake is not real on the rope. It is felt real. So what is appearing real initially? So Duryodhana's his disturbance seems real to him. Dhritarashtra's disturbance, real to him. Arjuna's disturbance, real to him. Our disturbance, real to him. Shastra tells us this disturbance has a cause, but while you are experiencing it, it is actually mithya. The cause is avidya, and till you don't tackle it at the root level, samsara will never go. And it is not restricted to this lifetime. The Gita will show us how that cycle actually extends, and therefore it is punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Till it is resolved as what is your nature? Who are you? Are you this limited entity? Their light has gone, so their connection's gone. So, anyone else? Question? Anybody?
Deepti ji, what is the best way to give up a grudge?
The best way to give up a grudge is to see the falsity of it. To see that how it can only be a personal viewpoint from where it can be right. Even if you see the grudge from another person's point of view, उसकी नजर में जिसके लिए भी आपको ग्रज है, उसकी नजर से भी अगर देखो तो does the grudge remain? उसकी नजर से अगर देखो तो वो ग्रज वो देखते ही they will not understand why should you have a grudge in the first place. They will justify all the reasons that they have done for you and etc. etc. So the best way to give up grudge is first and foremost from this learning today. If Dhritarashtra doesn't have to become us, we don't have to be that that hold on us. First thing is, the minute the grudge is entertained, dissolve it there. How to dissolve it? Reasoning. And the best reasoning is just look at it from a larger perspective. Okay. Priyanka, you got the last part, I think. Your light went off probably. Divya, okay?
Yes, Deepti ji. Thank you.
So the best thing about knowledge is, it's like prevention is better than cure. We don't start applying it after we become diseased. Knowledge, the minute knowledge comes here afterwards, it is a preventive process. I prevent samsara. First, while I gain vidya, I make sure I conduct a life where I am not collecting samsara at least. The knowledge helps me then and there. Where will I find the need to even think how to dissolve grudge when I'm not holding a grudge? Because the minute I identify I have held a grudge, I know the far-reaching consequences of this. Automatically the mind will drop. That itself is education. That is how knowledge gets applied. You don't have to apply it.
How do we prevent samsara? We are born in it.
No, now onwards at least. So what now onwards, it's like, there will be so many things life brings to us that in lack of knowledge, we accumulate things. A lot of us are wise by nature, by prakriti around us, by wise people in our upbringing, etc. But going forward, samsara means here your capacity for the mind to become unstable, disturbed. That's it. How do I prevent that?
Actually, my understanding is the attachment should go away, not the thing that we are doing.
Attachment will only go away when there
When
is
we are doing,
Sorry, when you are?
when we are doing perfectly.
Correct. That is where this is the first chapter. By the time we start seeing the knowledge part of it, that will tell us how not to get attached. We should not just get attached to, what are we not to get attached to? And as I said in the previous class, attachment is just an English term. It is actually what our mind holds on to.
Yeah, I have an example on that.
Ji?
If you never mind, I can explain in 5 minutes, which I got received the things from one of the noble person. Okay, it take only 5 minutes. If everyone okay with that, I just explain.
Is everyone okay with it?
Okay, great. Okay, first chapter is about Vishad Yoga. It's a self-doubt like that. Okay, whenever we start doing any new things, like for women starting work in the kitchen, we will have a self-doubt. Either it will come up good or bad. Either we have the knowledge of doing that. Okay, but once we have the rules, Sangya Yoga, rules of all the things that necessary for doing the work, we will get a confidence and do the karma. That is Karma Yoga, third chapter. After that, when we start doing regularly karma, we will get rid of that attachment. Karma Sannyasa Yoga. That is fourth chapter, I believe. Finally, fifth chapter is a Sannyasa Yoga. Okay, we'll get rid of the attachment when we do the duty properly. That's a Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, I believe. From that, liberation will come. Sannyasa Yoga. After that, Dhyana Yoga. Even though we are not, attachment with our duty, we will do the duty perfectly, we'll get the results perfectly. That is without attachment. So to get liberated, the fine thing is to do the karma, gain knowledge from the karma, get liberated. So that's what the first 6 chapters. Okay. 7th chapter, it's a Kshetra Vibhaga Yoga, like that it comes, I believe.
No,
Is that enough?
that is 13th chapter.
Yeah, 13th chapter. Okay.
7 chapter onwards, 7 to 12 is more on the devotion part of it, the bhakti part of it, Sharanam.
Oh.
7 to 12. 13th onwards, again, the Gyan part starts. So, Tattvamasi, a lot of people.
Tattvamasi.
Yeah.
I become God. Okay.
Yeah. But here I'm purposely not introducing too many thoughts before, because the idea is you will come to this understanding yourself. When you keep seeing the chapter, we will do the summaries at the end of each chapter. I hope so. But absolutely correct so far. At this point, the build-up is in recognizing first chapter, what is its importance? Why are we doing first chapter? Why not start from the 11th verse where the Gita really starts? Because the idea is that once that context in which the knowledge has occurred, when we self-recognize it, not as an objective thing, but as subjective, when I appreciate it within myself, I will appreciate every bit of knowledge and how it relates to me. So absolutely correct also. This is how the summary will be. In 18 sentences, there is also one, I think, moving, I saw WhatsApp also. 18 sentences, 18 verses, 18 chapters have been very beautifully summarized. And it's quite correct. It's very well done, actually. So yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Ganeshji. Anybody has a question?
Very much. Thanks for the question, Priyanka.
No, please. Anyone has a question on what he has said also, you can ask him. Or any other question, if anybody, otherwise we'll end the class. Well done. Yeah. And welcome back, Adira Uncle-ji.
Namaskar, Dipti ji.
Away, so yeah.
Dipti ji, namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaste. Namaste. Okay, so we'll end the class. See you tomorrow. Namaste. Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you.
Dipti ji,
Hanji.
when we move forward, I wanted to ask, since Ganeshi's mentioned all the different types of yogas. He's mentioned Karma Yoga, he's mentioned Gyan Yoga, and how, like so many different places they say that all of these are different paths, and some people start from a certain path and some people start from another path, and then eventually they all lead to the same thing. So I was just like how he was explaining कि पहले yoga फिर वो होगा फिर वो होगा. So that was just at a bit of a dissonance कि in some places so वो थोड़ा सा I was just getting a little confused. So I thought that I think you will.
No, that's why I did the first orientation, remember? And I think I made myself very clear at that time that that is the reason. See, why am I building up every class is because I know since we listen for the first time, we miss out a lot. You may have to go back to the recordings and re-listen to them, because Gita has so many interpretations of what it says, because there's a lot of topic that's covered in Gita. How we are dealing it with is purely from the perspective of how Shankara addresses each verse. And it is only going to be Moksha Shastra, for which Dharma Shastra. What is it about the Dharma? Yes, there is going to be Karam Yoga, the initial part of it. Every chapter you will see how it leads to the next chapter, as Ganeshji just pointed out. But the main emphasis is not to get lost in this. Everyone will have to start, and let's make this clear on the outset. Everyone will have to start from how will you convert karma to yoga, because that's the most tangible one. But you cannot generalize it to say, because supposing you've already done it, Purvakal, supposing, and now your mind has already fairly got Chitta Shuddhi, and it seeks only more ekagrata. So then it will come to this next part, Sharanam.
Jnana.
He keeps saying, Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Take my refuge, make me the goal of your life. Through the next 6 chapters, he'll say, and then he'll say, these are the qualities of the bhaktas. That means you don't even have to worship. If you have these qualities, you are a bhakta. And then he again starts with Gyan, 13th chapter, Kshetra Kshetrajna. Then he'll give qualities of a Gyani. Then he will give the entire Upanishad in the 15th chapter. And then again he comes back to Shraddha, types of Shraddha. So, you get so much knowledge about yourself that where do you have to start from? You can only start from your own attitudes. If Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra and this state of mind is what I hold, then my question should be, what is it that makes it grow further? How will I get freed of this? To which it will only be, how will you convert your everyday life? What is the method? Which really in details Karam Yoga gets into. How our Prakriti, we are attached to the results. Therefore, उसके लिए ही हम काम करते हैं. अगर हमें कोई result नहीं है तो हमें motivation नहीं है कुछ करने की. I don't even register मुझे कुछ करना है if it is not going to give me something. So first there is a whole breakup of this association, and that is how it becomes a sadhana. जीव लगा रहता है. इनफैक्ट कर्म योग करने वाला जीव को तो कुछ और चाहिए ही नहीं. अपने आप गति keeps happening. So the knowledge is to see how it becomes applicable in daily life. Is that okay, everyone? Else, Ganesh ji?
Thank you very much, Ji, first of all. It's so nice.
Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om.